I've had a leak on the sidewall of this tire for some time now. I have to fill it about every week or two. I'm able to use my little solar system that I set up to run my generator. Works pretty good. This mower is a 2015 model. I bought it used and I've used it real hard for about 3 years now. Kind of surprised it's still going. Last year, before I put it up for the winter, I put a battery cutoff switch on it to try to save the battery over the winter. For some time now, I've been having real trouble starting this mower after it sets up for a while, sometimes even a week or two. Last year I did a number of things to try to figure out what it could be, like making sure the plugs were clean air filter, new fuel filter, and also replace the fuel pump. I kind of feel like maybe the gas is draining out of the lines and the carburetor, and so it's having to take time to suck it back up there. But I'm really not sure what it is. If you have an idea, let me know in the comments. This is the first start of the season, and it took me pretty much a solid 3 minutes to get it going. It's probably the worst time I've ever had starting this thing. So I already got started replacing the plug on the other side, but I forgot to turn the camera on. I treated myself to a couple of new tools that can help an old man out. Here you see one of them. It's a battery powered ratchet. These plugs are actually Champion. I spent a little money when I bought them. They're quite dirty. I didn't expect this mower to last this season. I thought I was going to have to buy a new one, so I bought the finest I could get this year, China brand. I just bought a complete kit. Has plugs in it, filter, air filter, oil filter, and a fuel pump. I thought I was having a problem with this vacuum line coming off the valve cover. Turns out it just got full of grease and oil and quite a bit of dirt. It looked like it was cracked, but it's not. So I'm just going to give it a good cleaning. I replaced this fuel pump last year and it seemed to help quite a bit. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I'm going to go ahead and replace it anyway since I got a new one in the kit. These things are pretty easy to replace. They just have 2 screws and then 3 hoses. You can see here when I pull this line off that there was still gas up in there. I've learned that out here on this property, these air filters can get really dirty and it can really affect how well it starts and runs. So I try to keep a lot of these on hand nowadays. One of my best performing videos was about the chain hoist, and that thing's really come in handy to be able to work on this mower and get the deck off. But my barn's so full of stuff with tiny house materials and this new tractor, I can't get in there to that chain hoist. So now I'm able to use the tractor to lift up the body and get it off of the deck. It works really well, and it's a little more convenient because I can work on the mower wherever I want to, and outside I have a lot more light to work with. So before I take the deck off, I'm going to take these pulley covers off, and this ratchet really comes in handy for this. A lot of people just leave these pulley covers off. I prefer to keep them back on because out here I run over a lot of stuff, sticks and high grass and stuff, and I'm sure it just get bound up in the pulleys. This deck is mounted by 3 points, one on each side and one in the front. It also only has one belt. I understand that a lot of mowers have 2, possibly 3 belts. So the first thing you need to do is get these clips out, and sometimes that can be a little troublesome. These pins are mounted to the body of the mower, and then the deck will just slide off of those pins. It seems like every year I have to remember how I did this last year. And here I'm actually doing this backwards. I should have done this front pin first. It makes it a lot easier to get it out. So before you try to remove the deck, remember you have to take the belt off. Yeah, things are just not going my way today. And remember, take a picture of how the belt is mounted. When you go to buy a mower, try to get one with a welded steel deck. They're just a lot more sturdier than the stamped decks, and they last a lot longer, but they are heavy. Getting ready to replace these blades, it's going to give me a chance to use my other new tool. I bought a 1/2-inch impact driver. I only have a limited set of tools here, and this socket set that I have won't fit a 1/2-inch driver, and I didn't think about that, and I didn't bring an adapter. Fortunately, I have a bag of oddball stuff that I've collected from garage sales, and I found the exact socket that I needed. I've never used one of these drivers, and I'm quite amazed at how well it works, but right now I'm questioning which way the nut is threaded on. Oh man. Oh, that worked so good. That worked great. Previously, I've always had to use a breaker bar and a lot of force. First time ever using this. Oh, that's just great. I'm going to leave those laying there like that so I can get them put back on. So I have determined that I'm going to replace one spindle. Most every year I do replace at least one, sometimes two. Boy, it makes things a lot easier. Makes things a lot easier. I got a new one. These aren't threaded, so I can't use the bolts that came out of there. I've got to get a bolt and with a nut on it. I've got some somewhere, I just need to find them. So in another one of my videos, I got a comment saying that you can in fact thread those bolts in and that they will thread into the aluminum. But I had other people say that they pulled out. And so I prefer just to go ahead and use a nut and bolt, and I haven't had any issues with this. It just takes a little longer to get it installed. If you're at a point in your life where you can afford to buy a couple of these battery-powered tools, they really do save on labor. They make it a whole lot easier to get this stuff installed or uninstalled. Every time I get a grease gun out, it seems like I climb aboard the struggle bus. I just can't seem to make these things work well. Anyway, I finally did get it to work, and I got all three of the spindles greased. This deck surely is heavy, and it's a little bit of a struggle to get it installed back on. I'm not going to make you sit through all that, but needless to say, you just do everything in reverse of how you uninstalled it. So now we come to oil change time, and this mower has this drain tube. I'm not necessarily real fond of these things, but I think most mowers have these. I'm going to take a little time and clean this up so I don't get any dirt down in that tube and into the motor. These tubes seem to have a little trouble stretching far enough to be able to get the oil to drain well. I'm just using a quart milk bottle, and then I'll transfer it into the oil pan. I'm also going to lift the other side of the mower up and put a block under that wheel, try to get a little extra angle on the engine so it'll drain better. There's quite a bit of oil that has leaked on this side of the engine, and a lot of dirt and dust has collected over there. It's quite the mess. I'm not exactly sure where the oil leak is coming from, but I suspect it might be that this filter had either come loose or wasn't tight enough in the beginning. But either way, I'm going to clean it all up and put a new oil filter on there and try to get it a little bit tighter this time. Yes, I'm using generic China brand oil filters. But like I said, I didn't really expect this mower to be around this long, and I have really used it and abused it. I usually keep extra oil around. Sometimes I find it at garage sales or wherever, but I believe this is 1030 that I'm putting in there. I'm going to turn the engine over before I try to check the oil level so I can make sure that the oil filter is full. I'm going to give it one last dusting off before I take it out, put it to use for about an hour. Little Frank, you ready to go? You ready to go?